very excited about the potential of that, not just for young women and professional league, but also for young men, and to give them the ability to play this game. It works for us internationally, but it gives people a chance to understand this game, and particularly the young women is the feedback I get from them is how helpful it is to them in building their self-confidence, and to be able to play this game is joy for them. And so for us to be able to share that, I think is a positive thing, whether it's as a future Olympian or a high school player.
Stefanski stays in charge, it's going to be over his dead body that Shedeur is going to play a snap this year. As I've always said about Dylan Gabriel, I think he's a little better than Tua, built stocky like Tua, nice arm, accurate, but he ain't Shedeur. Shedeur is very special to me. If Shedeur were starting right now for the Cleveland Browns, I think they'd be the talk of the league, because they did just beat the Packers, because they have the #1 defense in the National Football League. If you gave Shedeur Judkins in that defense, I guarantee you he would be lighting it up, because he was born and raised to be a starting quarterback in the National.
School player or not, nobody saw this coming. The NFL commissioner stormed in and flipped the script on Kevin Stefanski like he was cutting a WWE promo live on Monday Night Raw. 1 second is just another press update. The next Roger Goodell is charging in with the energy of a heel ready to body slam his own coach into the spotlight. Shocking doesn't even cover it. Goodell didn't just speak, he snapped, straight up putting Stefanski on blast for how he's been handling Shedeur Sanders. And the way he went off, forget football business. This looked more like unscripted cable TV drama with no commercial breaks. It wasn't whispers, it wasn't rumors. This was the actual league boss dragging a head coach like it's fight night on ESPN. Now fans everywhere are asking the only question that matters: why Shedeur? Why now? The timing is so wild, it feels like the NFL's own reality series just dropped a surprise season finale. It's messy, chaotic, and the explanation makes your average reality TV brawl look like a Saturday morning cartoon rerun. And then there's Stefanski, usually invisible, blending into the sidelines like an overworked accountant buried in tax returns.
What happened? Mary Kay asked Coach Kevin Stefanski a key question, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't something vast. It wasn't something to the point of just listen to Mary asked her.
All of our guys feel like they're ready, Mary Kay.
So what she asked him was, how do you feel about, is Shedeur Sanders ready or not to play? She asked him that. What are his chances of playing? Is he ready or not? This man can never ask one question and get on right with it and just give the man his props. He can't do it.
Goodell wasn't just casually talking about a harmless benching or some routine punishment after a sloppy game. Nah, this was a public execution in broad daylight. It felt less like football talk and more like a Hollywood script that suddenly went rogue on live TV. And here's the crazy part. You'd expect Goodell to unleash that kind of fire only when the league is drowning in real scandals. You know, deflated footballs, shady game-fixing whispers, or refs making calls so bad you start wondering if those glasses they wear are just props for Instagram. But nope, all that rage, all that heat was aimed squarely at Kevin Stefanski. And now, the entire NFL universe is sitting there with jaws on the floor, trying to figure out what kind of storm just exploded across the league. This wasn't Goodell going nuclear. This was him going supernova, and not the quiet kind either. This was the type of detonation that lit up every TV studio coast to coast. Suddenly, every sports commentator in America turned into self-proclaimed professors of quarterback psychology 101, dissecting Stefanski's coaching style like it was evidence in a crime scene investigation. Fines for mismatched socks, penalties for too much sauce in your touchdown dance, rules on everything from shoe colors to how many seconds you can even smile after scoring. The NFL loves control. Every detail is micromanaged to death. But then, here comes Roger Goodell, storming in like he's not a commissioner, but a furious parent crashing a school gym because their kid just got picked last in dodgeball, and the unlucky target of all that fire, Kevin Stefanski, suddenly cast as the NFL's official bogeyman. Goodell didn't just scold him, he practically turned Stefanski into the villain of some bargain bin Hallmark Christmas special gone totally off the rails. The optics were insane. And then you bring in Shedeur Sanders, because he's not just another player, he's the league's walking hype machine. He's part quarterback, part influencer, part billboard dripping with swagger. Shedeur doesn't just play football, he sells the dream. When he walks into a room, you can almost hear the sound of cash registers ringing in the heads of NFL owners. Endorsement deals practically printing themselves in real time. That's the machine Shedeur Sanders is plugged into. So when Kevin Stefanski dared to challenge him, or as Roger Goodell framed it, abuse him, this wasn't just a coaching call anymore. No, it was painted as straight up treason. Treason against the NFL's golden marketing plan. The league thrives on star power, from Tom Brady's cold-blooded dynasty to Patrick Mahomes' highlight magic to Aaron Rodgers' never-ending drama. And now, Shedeur is being polished as the crown jewel of the next generation. Every era has its golden child, the face that sells jerseys, packs stadiums, and runs every highlight reel on SportsCenter. And right now, that golden child is Shedeur Sanders. He's the poster boy, the brand builder, the cash machine in cleats the league needs front and center. But then you've got Stefanski, stomping into the picture with all the charisma of a broken parking meter. Instead of riding the wave, he basically told Shedeur to sit down, shut up, and keep the clipboard warm. The optics, completely insane. What makes it even wilder is Stefanski isn't even known as a fire starter. His entire coaching identity has always been about being quiet, steady, blending into the background, boringly reliable. That's Kevin Stefanski's whole vibe. This is the kind of guy who probably gets hyped when he discovers a new shade of highlighter for his playbook, and somehow he's now being painted as the NFL's evil overlord of quarterback cruelty, like he's masterminding some twisted football experiment in a basement lab, cackling over broken dreams. The picture is so exaggerated, it almost feels like Goodell just needed a scapegoat to yank the spotlight off the league's real disasters. Because let's be honest, the NFL has problems that should be burning holes in Goodell's desk. Refs blowing calls so bad, fans want to throw their TVs out the window. Ticket prices so outrageous, sitting in the nosebleeds feels like paying for a week-long luxury cruise. Those are the meltdowns fans are actually screaming about. But nope, none of that is the emergency. According to the league's new script, the biggest crisis is Stefanski supposedly mistreating Shedeur Sanders, their shiny golden ticket, their future cash cow. Forget about concussion protocols, forget about turf fields chewing up knees like meat grinders, forget about basic player safety. The headline now is one coach allegedly bruising the ego of the NFL's prized prodigy. And once that narrative hit, the media lost its mind overnight. Suddenly, every sports analyst on TV started acting like they'd been secretly majoring in Shedeur Sanders' quarterback development studies their entire lives. Talk shows turned into courtroom dramas, with Kevin Stefanski dragged to the stand like he'd committed high crimes against the sacred law of star power. Because in Roger Goodell's world, leadership doesn't mean tackling officiating disasters or fixing the never-ending safety mess. Nope, leadership now means scolding a head coach for not rolling out a red velvet carpet every time Shedeur Sanders so much as touches the ball. Suddenly, Goodell is being painted as the knight in shining armor, riding in to defend the league's golden child. At this rate, don't be shocked if Goodell shows up at Browns games personally, holding an umbrella over Shedeur's head just to make sure not a single raindrop dares touch him. The visuals are straight out of a comedy sketch, but this isn't parody. This is the NFL's actual storyline right now. The whole saga spiraled into soap opera territory so fast, fans barely had time to grab their popcorn. One day, Stefanski is muttering about O-line breakdowns and trying to survive another Sunday. The next, he's being cast as the NFL's ultimate villain, while Shedeur gets rebranded as the tragic hero who must be protected at all costs. Then honestly, if the league doesn't start blasting dramatic theme music through stadium speakers during timeouts, they're missing the biggest rebrand opportunity in sports history. Forget Bravo, forget Netflix. The NFL has cooked up the kind of drama that could outshine them all. Others aren't furious at all. They're straight up laughing, pointing out the absurdity of a league suddenly crying abuse when it spent decades treating players like disposable parts on an assembly line. And Shedeur, he's probably chilling somewhere, sipping a smoothie, watching his brand value skyrocket with every single headline. Because let's be real, nothing screams superstar status louder than the commissioner himself storming in like a bodyguard to shield you. But here's the real question that refuses to go away. Was Stefanski truly abusing Shedeur, or was he just coaching? Was this really mistreatment, or did the NFL just rewrite the rule book so that criticizing its new golden child is basically a federal crime? The Shedeur Protection Act feels out of control.
He makes that call. Why? Because I want the last thing people to see. I want the last thing for people to remember is the mistakes and the sacks that happened, and not give him a chance to redeem himself. Because I think probably what would have happened, okay, we can't have Shedeur come in here and finish this 2-minute drive and go down and get a touchdown. We don't want that. So we're going to leave him on the sideline. So it leaves a bad taste in those mouths. So now there's nothing that they can say. There's nothing that they can say because now you got a small sample size of him playing with people that are probably not going to be on the team, and their bio on Twitter going to say former.
The lines are so blurred, it's ridiculous. Now you half expect Congress to open official hearings titled Shedeur Sanders versus Kevin Stefanski, the trial of the century. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback anymore. He's a storyline, a walking marketing campaign, the centerpiece of a future documentary scored with slow piano music swelling in the background. And somehow Stefanski, whether by accident, arrogance, or pure stubbornness, managed to mess with the league's carefully scripted plan. That's why we're sitting here watching Roger Goodell rip into him like this is the single biggest crisis facing football today. Kevin Stefanski just happened to be the unlucky guy who broke the league's #1 unwritten rule. Coaching your quarterback and protecting the NFL's golden marketing plan are two completely different jobs. And the villain arc of Stefanski, nobody saw this circus coming. His biggest scandal before this was probably forgetting to water the office ficus plan. He's always been the quiet dad of NFL coaching, rocking New Balance sneakers without a care, flipping through user manuals like they're thrillers, just existing in the background. But now, thanks to Roger Goodell's meltdown, he's been rebranded as the Darth Vader of quarterback management. And the fans, they're eating it up like it's the latest Marvel blockbuster. The drama is so over the top, you almost expect CNN to cut in with breaking news alerts, sirens blaring, dramatic drum beats, and graphics flashing across the screen. NFL coach exposed. The media loves it because this circus is their playground. One day, Stefanski is the evil dictator strangling talent. The next day, he's the misunderstood genius who dared to stand against the NFL's machine. Only this soap opera doesn't come with polished lighting or Hollywood acting. It's raw, messy, and somehow pulling in millions of viewers glued to every twist. And Shedeur, he's been cast as the tragic hero in this bizarre saga, the shining quarterback betrayed by the cold, heartless coach who just didn't believe in him. Forget about X's and O's. This isn't football anymore. It's Shakespeare and shoulder pads. Meanwhile, Roger Goodell is strutting around like he just saved a puppy from a burning building, parading as the heroic commissioner who saved the future of football simply by scolding Kevin Stefanski. The dramatics are insane. Never mind that every single week fans are screaming themselves hoarse over blown calls, inconsistent penalties, and games dragging on longer than a Lord of the Rings extended cut. Nope. In Goodell's world, the league's greatest crisis isn't safety, officiating disasters, or tickets priced like a mortgage payment. The headline scandal is Stefanski allegedly not giving Shedeur enough hugs after practice. And here's the wildest twist. Nobody can even define what Stefanski actually did that was so unforgivable. Did he bench him? Did he raise his voice? Did he make him run a few extra drills in the rain? With no details on record, the NFL just left the script wide open for chaos. So fans started filling in the blanks with their wildest imaginations, spinning tales of Stefanski running full-blown military boot camps, punishing Shedeur with push-ups for every incomplete pass.
Shedeur come back in the game to finish the 2-minute drill. Oh, I've never seen that before. I've never in my life ever have seen anything like that before. What are we doing? What are we doing? No disrespect to Snoop Huntley. Snoop is probably not going to be on the team. He's probably not going to be on the team. So I'm not sure what you were waiting to look. Snoop was on the team simply because quarterbacks were injured. So they brought in the extra body. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job, in this instance, Shedeur Sanders, to finish off?
Some fans swore Stefanski's real crime wasn't a benching at all. It was his soul-crushing cold stares, the kind of looks they claimed could shatter a young quarterback's confidence forever. None of it was backed by facts, of course, but when has that ever mattered? In today's NFL circus, the drama is always juicier than the truth. And in the middle of this madness, let's not forget the poor Browns. Cleveland can never catch a break. For decades, they've been the NFL's favorite punchline, the franchise you only root for if you've learned to treat disappointment like a full-time lifestyle. And now, right when it looked like the Browns had finally found their shiny new hope, they're dragged straight into this circus with their coach branded as the villain of the entire league. It's tragic comedy at its finest. The Browns finally crawl out of the basement, finally look like a functioning franchise, and boom, their head coach is suddenly accused of mistreating the NFL's shiny new superstar. You literally couldn't script this mess any better if you tried. No matter how good things look in Cleveland, chaos follows them around like a stray dog that refuses to leave. But what really blows minds is how fast Roger Goodell cranked this circus into overdrive. Normally, league drama creeps in stages. A rumor here, a leak there, then the predictable polished press release stuffed with corporate spin, but not this time. This time, Goodell skipped every step and went straight to volcanic eruption. He detonated faster than Stefanski can call for a 4th and long punt. It felt like he'd been bottling up rage for months, just waiting for the perfect excuse, and unlucky Stefanski wound up standing right in the blast zone.
Not mince words today when he was interviewed by his locker the day after practice. Shedeur Sanders let it be known to the world and to Kevin Stefanski and to the Cleveland Browns organization that he's ready right now and he's ready to play. And what do I get from that, man? It seems like Shedeur Sanders is applying a lot of pressure to that Cleveland Browns organization, and he's just waiting for his chance. But he said, look, I'm ready to play, and I'm ready to play right now. Now, we all know that Shedeur Sanders was drafted in the 5th round, 144th overall. And we know that he's the 3rd string quarterback on the depth chart, and he's the emergency quarterback every week.
And the irony, absolutely insane. Goodell is out here screaming about player abuse in a league that once let games play out on fields so chewed up they look like demolition zones. That's the definition of leadership, please. Fans aren't buying it. Of course, rival coaches and players couldn't resist jumping into the chaos. Some dropped slick, passive-aggressive comments about how young quarterbacks need support, not criticism. Others straight up mocked Goodell, laughing that he'd managed to blow a routine coaching decision into a league-shaking scandal. It spiraled into a full-blown circus. Every quote dissected, every tweet magnified, every sideline smirk treated like evidence in a crime scene photo. This wasn't football anymore. It was a cultural debate blasted under bright lights, fueled by non-stop drama. And right at the center of the storm stood Kevin Stefanski, looking exactly the same as always. Calm, blank, expressionless, like a man wondering how his Sunday game plan somehow morphed into a surprise episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The poor guy couldn't win. If he defended himself, critics screamed guilty. If he stayed silent, they accused him of hiding something. A no-win situation wrapped in a soap opera. So Stefanski did what Stefanski always does, stood there with that same face, frozen in quiet confusion, like an office worker desperately trying to figure out why the printer keeps jamming again. And honestly, maybe that was the smartest play he had left. Because peel back all the noise, all the hysteria, and it becomes crystal clear. This circus was never really about Kevin Stefanski. This was never about Kevin Stefanski. It was always about Shedeur Sanders, the league's golden goose. And in the NFL, rule number 1 is simple. You never mess with the goose. Stefanski forgot that unspoken law, and the punishment came down brutal and loud. But here's the hilarious question fans can't stop asking. What happens to coaching if every critique of Shedeur is treated like a federal offense? Are we really heading toward a future where coaches whisper affirmations during timeouts, where Stefanski has to pat Shedeur on the shoulder and hand him a participation trophy every time he nails a 5-yard slant? If that's the new standard, the NFL might as well scrap head coaches and start hiring life coaches instead. People trained to clap politely and say, "You're doing amazing, sweetie," while the poor quarterback gets flattened by a defensive line for the 10th time in one game. And that's where the comedy flips into tragedy. Because if the league keeps playing this game, coaching won't even feel like football anymore. It'll feel like customer service. Picture Stefanski on the sidelines with a headset, not calling plays, but checking in like a waiter. How are we feeling today, Shedeur? Can I get you a snack? Do you need a safe space before the next drive? It sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly the path this league is sprinting down. And right in the middle of the chaos, Roger Goodell is standing there like the overdramatic host of a reality show, making sure every single camera angle highlights him as the ultimate protector of the NFL's newest crown jewel. Roger Goodell managed to turn what should have been a private locker room issue into a national spectacle. And the wilder it gets, the more people tune in. The NFL isn't even pretending anymore. This is entertainment first, sports second. And you can't ignore what this circus does to Cleveland's image. The Browns finally build some momentum, finally look like they figured out how to act like a real franchise, and boom, they're back to being the butt of the joke. And it's not even about their play on the field. Nope, it's their coach getting branded as the league's latest villain for daring to treat Shedeur like an actual quarterback instead of a golden egg-laying machine. Only in Cleveland could winning flip into scandal this fast. But here's the twist no one wants to admit. Shedeur doesn't even have to do anything. He doesn't have to lift a finger, throw a touchdown, or take a snap. His name alone is enough to send the NFL into meltdown mode. He's become a storyline bigger than touchdowns, bigger than stats, bigger than the game itself. And if that doesn't prove how upside down this league has gotten, nothing will. The absurdity writes itself. Imagine practice sessions where Kevin Stefanski can't even correct a missed throw without the threat of a fine hanging over his head. Picture him nervously handing Shedeur a juice box after every interception just to avoid Goodell storming in with another meltdown. And here's the real kicker. This circus isn't the final act, not even close. The league just drew a bold line in the sand, and from now on, every coach in the NFL will be forced to tiptoe around Shedeur Sanders like he's made of glass. He doesn't just have talent anymore, now he's rocking full-blown league-mandated immunity. Without even trying, Kevin Stefanski accidentally transformed Shedeur into the NFL's most valuable protected species. And the league, they're all in on it. The NFL is more invested than ever in making sure this saga plays out like a fairy tale. Shedeur standing tall, smiling like the golden hero, center stage under the bright lights. Forget wins, forget losses. The league doesn't care. What they want is ratings, nonstop drama, and a primetime ending they can sell to every living room in America. But here's where I flip it to you. What do you think about this madness? Was Stefanski really out of line, or has the NFL completely turned itself into one giant reality show? Is this football, or just scripted television with shoulder pads? Drop your thoughts down below. I want to hear it all. And if you made it this far, you already know the drill. Don't forget to like, hit that subscribe button, share this with your people, and of course, I'll catch you on the next one.